ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for the Breakfast Bankroll for November 25th, 2 days before Thanksgiving. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb, live from Tampa. What is it? It's not bad outside. 46 degrees here, cloudy. Gonna get rain, and more rain, so I guess it's better than snow. I get the final step 4 down yesterday. My fertilizer guy came by, so we're already getting ready for spring, hopefully, so a little tongue-in-cheek there. But anyways, first and foremost, a shout-out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. And, of course, Terry Smith at AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, wines. Terry's got it all. Don't be shy. Go introduce yourself over on Facebook. And then let him set up your festivities for the holidays. He'll make it simple. That's all. You'll look like Chef Boyardee, Emerald Lagasse from Fall River. He'll make it easy for you. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
Hey, man. I heard you talking about 46-degree weather, and I'm sitting there going, man, that's pretty cold.
Now, that's called balmy back east in around February. So, anyways, the headliner, 49ers skin the Panthers, and it's kind of funny. 49ers take the opening drive. Now, I'm bowling, by the way, so they get the game on everywhere, and I'm really not paying much attention to it. But my point is, death by 10,000 paper cuts, I think, 15-play drive, almost 8 minutes, 9 minutes. Juwan Jennings, 7-0 Panthers. 7-0 Niners, and then here comes the Panthers. And if I remember correctly, a drive turnover, and then they pick Purdy immediately. So here you go. Eventually get it 1st and goal from the 1. There's not a harder running back in the land than Rico Dowdell. If you gave it to him 4 times, he could have fallen over to make it a 7-7 game. And what do they do? 1st and goal from the 1. They decide to roll Young out, and he throws an interception. Game changed right there. Another under in a primetime game, 20-9. Just a flat-out ugly game, Scotty.
Well, it's not very often that you can sit there and go, hey, the team that I bet on, which was San Francisco, right? I bet on San Francisco, gave it out here. And it's not very often you can sit there and go, well, my quarterback threw 3 interceptions. and we still won the game. And not only did we win the game, we covered the damn spread. So it's not very often that you can do that. But let's throw a little bit of logic in here, because all I saw all afternoon yesterday on Twitter, of course, the greatest place in the world. I love Twitter. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But these guys are out there throwing out all this stuff about, well, the San Francisco 49ers are 0-8 and blah, blah, blah on after a win. And you can't bet on them because, they win a game, they lose a game, they win a game, they lose a game, they win a game, they lose a game, they win a game, they lose a game. Okay. So let's just put some stuff here together. The San Francisco 49ers going into that game was 7-4, something like that. Now they're 8-4, something like that. They're a good football team. They're overcoming all kinds of injuries and doing all that stuff. And I get it. The Carolina Panthers were 6-4 going into that game. But, they're pretty fraudulent because of who they play and, the style of play that they have. And, the schedule isn't as tough. This is a road game. This is not something they're playing at home. And Bryce Young is not the greatest quarterback in the world. And so you sit there and you start looking at things and you go, this doesn't make any sense. Why would Carolina be able to be good in these spots? Why would Carolina be able to do this stuff on these road games? They're not built for this. And of course, they're trying to figure out what kind of offense they really do have. They're trying to develop a quarterback. When you're a team that's like Carolina, or you can pick other ones, but you can look at Carolina and go, they're the next year Bears. Look what the Bears are doing with a head coach that actually has developed a quarterback and put him in a system that allows him to do pretty well. So, maybe Carolina's the next year Bears and they're a little bit better than a 500 team. They're not any better than a 500 team this year. They're probably going to finish below 500 if you look at who they play the next couple of weeks. They play Tampa Bay twice. So, I think that people who bet in these lanes have lost all reality. And I say that 100% with conviction because you're watching these guys that all they're doing is running a program or doing whatever through SQDL or whatever it's called. And this is how many times this team's played on the road. And this is what they do on a Sunday night. And this is what they do after a loss. And this is what they do after a win. All right, look, none of that matters. It really doesn't. It's the matchups that matter. And I see a lot of these older, handicappers out there going, look, if you don't know math and you don't know how to handle what the betting lines are and what the moves mean and all this stuff, you can't bet. Well, that's bullshit too, because here's the reality. The reality is that Carolina team with that Bryce Young has never faced this team, that San Francisco, in that specific spot on that specific night, with those particular players and the guys that were there and the guys that weren't there and all that stuff. And that's never happened before. So what do the matchups look like? Where do you have advantages and where do you not have advantages? And bet on the team that has the most advantages. You can certainly utilize some of the trending information to either support or curtail whatever it is you're betting. I felt so strong about this game. I played it at -7.5. Remember? I talked about it. -7.5, not 7.5. I got plus money on this bet. So, and I think when you really start, and shit, that covered even though they threw 3 interceptions. Holy shit. So, but I think when you really start to think about what's going on in the sports betting world, people are listening to either these kids that come up and they can run the programs and pull out the data that says XYZ covers with XYZ times and blah, 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 right? Or they're listening to like the Brad Powers guys of the world that go and say, Lane Kiffin leaving is going to be a huge distraction, and you can't bet on Mississippi this week. I'm going to give you a best bet on Mississippi State. Okay, that doesn't fly either. Look at the matchups. Okay, so there are good situations. There are good technical spots. I would be more involved to be in a technical situation than I would be a situational bet. I would like to be able to understand what logic makes sense. If you're betting and you're not betting based on logic, you're doing it wrong. I'm telling you, it's not the right way to do it. And Jeff, you know this as well as I do. I know what you do, and you look at the lines and you see how they move and where they go and what the sports books are telling you and stuff. But you don't just go bet every one. You go bet the ones that logically make sense. And that's the point of all of this is you can go run this fallacy stuff. And I'm sorry to be on a rant, but you can go run all this fallacy stuff and all this crazy stuff that people run all the time, and all these touts in the world, and they're all fighting now online over Steve Fezzik, and Steve Fezzik's taking people's plays and charging people to do out there, and he's minus 100 units, by the way. So what is all of this? It's all nonsense. So cut to the chase. I had this prepared, and of course I've been talking so long, my damn computer went to sleep. So let's wake it up for a second. Let's college football. Last week I was 6-3. Well, not the greatest week, but 6-3 is a great week. I mean, I'll take it every time, right? And almost all of those plays are given out here. And then for the year, college football, I'm 51-32. Okay, well, that's pretty good. Now, does that mean you should be following everything I do? I don't. That's up to you. I'm just trying to give you what I can and how it works. And on the NFL side, Jeff, NFL, where's the numbers? Blah, 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 week 12. So you guys don't get to see the NFL stuff because I don't get the data on the NFL unless we do a Saturday show or a Sunday morning show. I can't go over the NFL stuff because I don't get the data until late on Friday, or and then on Friday I'm out running around doing whatever, and Saturday is running out the wife day. So I don't really see that. But I was 4-2. I'm 20-11 in the NFL. So. And these are not prop bets. These are not this guy's throwing over this many yards and this guy's running for this and he's getting touchdowns and the units out there that are plus 300 because of this and plus 300 for that. That's not what any of this is. This is totals, either overs or unders or sides. That's it. That's all it is. And what I'm trying to say is, if you analyze the data correctly, and or what I've spent all season doing is I wanted a program that I could write, that I could just plug data into, and it would send out the right information like I do in baseball. Well, it kind of doesn't work that way for football because there is a lot of massaging that has to do. So I just run it. Me and AI have this program that we run together. So I plug in the right data, and then the data comes out, and you make the bets based off of the best circumstances that you have available to you. And there's a lot of favorites, and everybody wants to bet all these dogs. How many dogs have I given out on this show? Hardly any. I gave out some, but hardly any. And they all win. And I'm not saying to go just carte blanche bet favorites, but I am trying to tell you guys that it's fun to bet an underdog. Jeff, I know you like to bet underdogs. Everybody in the old school betting mentality loves to bet underdogs. I get all of that because this dog's barking and this, that, and the other thing. That's all they talk about on Wager Talk is this dog and this, that, and this other thing and sandwich plays. There's no such thing as any of this stuff. It's all made up. So when you're really doing this stuff, understand logic outdoes most everything. on a consistent basis. Sure, you can lose on certain things, but if you do things in a logical way, you're going to win way more than you're going to listen to all this other nonsense that goes on around you. And shout out to PB. Look, guys, I do try to answer my questions that I get. PB's been asking me lots of questions. I know he asks other handicappers and other things he likes and other sports and things questions. Look, the guy's on a run, man. He's like winning every game. And he texted me last night and said, "Hey, look," I guess text is the wrong word. DM'd me last night and said, "Hey, I followed you on that minus 7.5. I got it at plus money. It was great." Look, if you have questions or you want answers, either ask them during the show. And I know it's a 9:00 show, so maybe some people aren't ready for that, but send me a DM or just comment on our show on the thing. I'll answer it as best I can. I do check it every once in a while. So anyway, sorry about my rant. There you go.
All right. Also want to give a shout out to Emil Kulsker and Danny Hobband of Port Alberni, BC, Canada. They've been followers for us for a long, long time. I get emails from Emil once a week on his Canadian football, his NFL, his horses. It's amazing what social media has done. We have clients all over the world, and it's nice to get these emails. Keep up the great work, Emil and Danny. Hope you guys have a very blessed Thanksgiving coming up here as well. I know we have a couple MAC games. I want to get to something because Thursday will be the NFL. We'll be back tomorrow, 9. I got an absolute jam-packed schedule because we'll be dark on Thursday. Tomorrow, me and Scotty will be here 9:15 talking NFL. We'll be talking some NCAAF as well. Andrew McGinnis will be here around 10:30 to talk some NHL. Huge slate in the NHL tomorrow. We're going to bring in Matt Grissom at Grissom on X from 11 to 11:45 tomorrow to talk Westgate Superbook card, SEC, Arkansas football and basketball. And then at 12, high noon, Ron Momorlewski will be back from L.A. Before he ships off for the festivities to talk some NCAF and NFL like no other. So we're going to be jam-packed tomorrow. But again, Thursday, the highlight, all 3 games are so intriguing, Scotty. Green Bay travels to Detroit. This Lions team is leaking oil. They should have lost last Sunday to the Giants. In comes Green Bay, which has been probably one of the biggest Jekyll and Hyde teams in the NFL. Only a 2.5 with a 49 Green Bay favorite. Good morning to Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens there at the Circa. The middle game, the sandwich game, no pun intended there. The Chiefs travel to Dallas. Chiefs -3, -15 at a 52. It opened at 51. I mean, this has that 27-23 vibe all day. Loser really in pigeonholed to make the playoffs, and the winner really propels themselves into the probability of making the playoffs. And then the late game really has changed now. This is a Ravens team that was favored by 10.5 not too long ago against the Bengals. Now a flat 7 with a 51.5. Why? The return of Joe Burrow. But what I really want to ask you, Scotty, is about the Kansas City Dallas game, just because of this. Last Monday, Dallas travels to Vegas and they win. Then they come back home. They play another game 6 days later. This past Sunday against the Eagles, down 21-0. They come all the way back and win 24-21. Well, now they play another game 4 days later. So 3 games in 10 days. I know Ron will talk about the rest factor and whatever, but for the NFL, and I know practice schedules have changed, and I know equipment, massages, all that has changed. But 3 games in 10 days for an NFL team's gotta be I don't even know the correct word there. I mean, I mean, you talk about not giving a rat's ass about the athlete, Scotty.
Well, I think that these good teams, the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Buffalo Bills, they're on all these special games. They're always on. Like I just did out the schedule for the rest of the year. And the Eagles play on Saturday, they play on Sunday night, they play on Monday. Every week, you're going to see the Eagles all the time. So they're all, these teams, so what really matters in those spots is it's the head coach. So if you're a first time head coach, Dallas has one. How often has he ever had to manage his team through this process? Probably never. So if he's never had to do it before, I'm sure he's probably looking for the right answers and the questions and all those types of things to help him manipulate that stuff. But I don't know if you've ever, I'm sure you have, but I mean, I don't know how many people really understand what a Sunday does to a body for a male athlete. And even though that most of them are in their 20s and then they're prime athletes, and they're big and they're strong and they're fast and they're healthy and all that stuff, what Monday morning looks like. And if you're in an NFL locker room, what does that look like? Look, man, if you played in the game, it's all recovery. It's like every snap, you have your body as an NFL player goes through a car crash. Every single snap. Some car crashes are fender benders. Others are just smashes. So as your body gets recovered and tries to recover from those things, it's not just a Monday thing. It can be a Monday, Tuesday thing. Things linger. So I think what you're saying, and I think rightfully so, is, when you have this many car crashes on your body up through a certain time frame and not very much recovery time. I mean, you can't take it to the body shop and bang out the dents fast enough. So there's going to be some wear and tear and weakness and tiredness that you can't avoid. So this is where, as a handicapper, sometimes you have to look at it and go, what's the depth of this team look like? What's the next man up scenario look like? Not that next man up is going to play every down, but he might play, instead of playing 10 snaps in the game or 5 snaps in the game to give the other guy a break, he might play 15 or 20 this time. So I think you're going to see probably some of that. And if you, and I think it's a very valid point. If you really think about it, what can Kansas City do? They can exploit weak defenses because they have a head coach and an offensive coordinator on that side of the ball that can design plays that can attack weakness of the defense. Not that everybody can, but he can do it to an extreme level. Secondly, I think that they have a quarterback that can help that process on the day that plays and all that stuff and go, hey, this is working, this isn't working. We got matchup advantages here, there, and wherever. So I think that puts Kansas City in a pretty big spot here because the head coach for Dallas has never been through this before. This is his first year. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just, experience. The best thing that they have going for them, it's a home game. That's the best thing they have going for them. So I think as things kind of come out and where things go, this could be one of those, hey, our guys are just kind of slugging through it. We're doing what we can, but they can't keep up with the speed of the outside pass rushers and the defense. Kansas City's not got a great defense, but what they have is a great pass rush, which then affects the other team's offense. That helps their defense, right? And then Spagnuolo puts their guys in the right spots, and that's what makes their defense good. It's all about pressure the quarterback. So if they can put pressure on the quarterback, I think Dallas is in trouble. And that being said, Dallas's defense, it was 21-0. So they weren't stopping anything. But the whole second half, the Philadelphia Eagles didn't score, not 1 point. So I don't know if that's, obviously I'm old, so I fell asleep. I didn't get to watch it. So I don't know if that was a lot to say about what Dallas did, or what that was a lot to say about what the struggles that Philadelphia's been having. Their offense, I don't know what's going on with their offense, but their offense hasn't been as good as last year, Super Bowl quality year. And I think you're right. Both of these teams need to win these games, but I think Kansas City has it way, way more important. It's way more important for Kansas City than it is for Dallas. And the reason I say that is because Dallas isn't really Dallas to get in. They're going to have to be ahead of teams like Seattle. Like if Seattle or the 49ers, because one of those two teams are going to be really, really good in record, and they're not going to make it in the NFC. So in the AFC, you're going to have a battle of kind of some of these teams that come down with Jacksonville and Kansas City and Indianapolis, and where do these teams kind of shake out and what happens, and I think Kansas City's they can't afford to really lose games, and they it's certainly a game where they're favored to win. They need to win these games. So I think that it's way more important for Kansas City than it is Dallas.
And the Eagles will be hosting the Bears right now, -7 on Black Friday. And I've been talking all along, week after week after week after week, and it's just how people are wired, the brains. The Patriots are on this magical, 8-game winning streak. And yet here's Ben Johnson and the Bears first in the NFC North. They just keep winning and winning and winning and winning. Good running game, defense getting stronger. Ben Johnson has got the team and Caleb to buy in. Caleb not turning the ball over a la Bryce Young, a la Brock Purdy. And they're just finding ways, and they're catching 7 here again on a short week there, which we'll break down again as we get closer to that. Scotty, 2 games tonight, Western Michigan at Eastern Michigan. Opening number, Western Michigan 6.5 with a 46.5. Now 8 at Circa with a 46.5, and then Bowling Green at UMass. Why UMass has a football program, I just don't know. Bowling Green 14.5 with a 44.5. Before we head on into the Abyss, would you like to break any of those games down on games on paper?
Well, let me just say this. If you're going to bet tonight, I think there's only one option, and that's to bet Western Michigan. And to be quite honest, I'm just going to tell you, you need to shop around and try to find what you can. I think that line opened 6.5 on Monday morning. It was 6.5. I can still play it on ProfitX at 7.5. It's not as good a play when you have to cover 7 in your Western Michigan. If you want to look at it on games on paper, that's fine. You can go ahead and pull it up. Because what I can show you is that it's an interesting game because Eastern Michigan is all offense. They have no defense, and Western Michigan is all defense and a little bit of offense. So as it kind of matches up, this is one of those games of attrition where an offense that's decent goes against a bad defense. They're gonna put up some points. The team that's got a good offense is gonna face a team that's got a good defense. So how many points do they kind of put up? So it kind of makes an even matchup. Now, as I played it out and things went through, the system comes up and says, "Hey, Western Michigan is going to win this game 30-16." So that should give you a little bit of okay. Look, we're going to go okay with Western Michigan here. This is a very important game for Western Michigan. If they win this game, they're in the MAC championship game. So they have to win. So if they win, they're in. Now, if they lose, there's some other circumstances they can still get in because they lead by 1 game in that conference. So if they win, they're in. So like look at like the offense for Western Michigan on the pass, the very first purple box there. They rank 120th throwing the football. So you're going to be betting on a team that is 120th out of 135 schools. I had, but they're 58th rushing the ball, and the defense is 117th against the run to stop them. So that gives them obviously a great avenue to go. But you're also then looking at Eastern Michigan's offense. They rank 53rd passing, 47th running, but they face a defense that's 8th against the pass and 47th against the run. So it's pretty even matchup on the defense. They should slow them down and stop them for the most part. So I think that, yes, Western Michigan wins this game. Do I think it's going to be 30-16? I don't know if it's going to be that. The other side of this that I would tell you that I think could come into play, it's going to be cold. It's not going to be a fun place to play up there in Eastern Michigan tonight. I think an under is probably a good look. So if you're going to bet, that's the game to bet. You do not bet Bowling Green in Massachusetts. Look, Bowling Green's not very good, and they're on their third or fourth quarterback. So I mean, they're coached by Eddie George. So that's the best thing they got going for them. Look, they're 14.5-point favorites against a team that they're going to gives up 45 points a game or whatever it is. It's just terrible what UMass is. But you can't take Bowling Green on the road, even though they got to cover 2 touchdowns. This is not something that you want to get into. Now, the Thursday night game I found a little bit unique, which is this is Navy and Memphis. It opened Memphis -6 on Monday morning. It was Memphis -5.5. Now I can bet it at Memphis -4.5. So people really like betting this Navy team. And if you look at what you got up on games on paper there, Navy Memphis. If you look at this game, look at the top. Navy is 35th. Memphis is 25th in EPA. These two teams are relatively strength-wise pretty even. There's the biggest differentiation between these two teams is the yards per point margin. So yards per point margin, Memphis is plus 4.1, Navy is plus 0.1. You're not going to see that on that chart. But what that tells you is Memphis is more efficient with the yards they gain that turn into points, where Navy does a lot of things, but they either kick field goals or get stopped. And you might be, let's see, So one of the things you can see down here is looks like early third downs are good. Third and fourth down success. I'm looking at Navy's offense. Navy is one of those teams. Remember that the academy, so they're going to run the option a lot. But you got to remember, Navy will throw the football. This is a team that will throw the football, whereas Army and Air Force don't. This team will throw the football, and then the matchup, if you look at the defense for Memphis, they're terrible against the pass, but they rank 29th in the country against the run. So that's pretty stout against this defense. And then offensively, it's kind of interesting. You have Memphis as the number 2 rated offense rushing the football. Navy's number 3. And the defense strength for Navy against the run. They can't defend the pass. So you're going to have 2 rushing type offenses that want to run the ball against 2 defenses that can stop the run. So it's kind of a mixed bag here. I still think, and here's another thing. Brandon Lewis, I think, is the quarterback's name for Memphis. He's got a hobbled ankle. That doesn't mean he's not going to play. I did some research this morning. He's going to play. Kind of important that he plays, but he's going to play. And I think the system came back and said, "Hey, Memphis wins 38-24." I think it's closer than that, to be honest. That's a lot of points too. But it's in Memphis. It won't be so cold there. I think the guys they'll be a little bit better to actually do some scoring on Thursday. Obviously, Thanksgiving Day on the college side. I think the way I'm going to handle it is I'm going to end up. I might just sprinkle a little bit of play just as a pizza money play on Western Michigan tonight. I'm not going to play this Memphis Navy game. I'm probably going to play the NFL on Thursday. And Jeff, I don't know how many of these games I've already done for Friday and Saturday. I have so much information and so many different ways to look at this stuff and what I'm betting and where I'm going to go and how Friday. So I'm breaking this into 3 different segments. I wanted to have a strategy for college football that said Tuesday through Friday, these were going to be my bets. Well, Tuesday's best bet would be Western Michigan. It didn't really make the cut for anything above what I can bet on Friday. And neither did Thursday's bet. So I kind of like, well, do I really want to bet that stuff? Do I have to bet that stuff? I don't have to. So I probably won't. And then I have a list of a whole bunch of shit for Friday. So I'm going to end up betting a bunch of games on Friday, and I'm going to end up betting a bunch of college games on Saturday. With the other plan in mind is to bet the NFL games, whichever ones I like and whichever ones totals like. I'm going to run into a problem here, I think, because the data that I get for those games doesn't come to me usually until Friday. So I'm hoping that this shit shows up so I can actually get the stuff and do what I normally want to do for these games. Anyway, I can probably find it somewhere else or try to get it somewhere else. So I'll probably look into that. But point being is, I think that I'm going to bet I'm going to bet Friday's college football. I'm going to bet Thursday NFL games, and I'm going to bet Saturday all different bets. So normally I might have 5 to 6 college football games. I'm probably going to have 10, maybe 12, because there's so many games there's 13 college football games on Friday. I don't know how many there are on Saturday. There's a whole bunch, but they're all meaningful. They're not all meaningful, but they're all bigger schools against rival games, and they're all that kind of. So they're all fun. They're all important. They make good matchups, and if you find the right spots, they make good bets. And then Saturday the same way. I might end up with 12 bets. I might end up with, I don't know, more than that. But I think that's kind of where that's going to end up. And then Thursday I'm going to have a couple of bets, and then Sunday obviously have a couple more bets. So shit, I might have 20 bets this week, for God's sakes.
Well, it's going to be a great, great week. Again, tomorrow, me and Scotty will be back around 9:15. We'll break down any potential in-pocket plays for Wednesday/Thursday. Thursday is Family Day. We want everyone to enjoy Thanksgiving, and we'll be back on Friday, 9:15 for the finalization of the in-pocket plays. Closing thoughts, Mr. Webb.
Well, I started the show with a rant, so hopefully, I just want to follow up to say, hey, look, there's more than one way to do this. You can do this lots of different ways. Just be really smart about your money. It's your money. I always say this, be convicted when you have that cash in your hand and you walk up to the window and you make your bet. That you're giving that money over as a loan to get more money back. That's what you're doing. And if you're not that confident in it, don't do it. Don't bet it. Don't go up there and go, hey, I'm going to bet $20 when you normally bet, $150, and you only bet $20 because you're not that confident in the game. Well, just save your $20. Who cares? It's not worth it. Or, make your full bets or more on these games when you're confident in what you're doing. So I think the best thing that I can say is study the game a little bit. Know it is important, no matter what all these other guys tell you, that matchups matter. How teams match up to each other matters. How they're playing recently matters. coaching matchups matter. And if those things aren't being built into your handicap and all you're doing is looking up and looking at trends and stuff, you're never going to be more than 50%. You're never going to make it. Those betting patterns are just that. They're betting patterns, and they're great clickbait and they're all that stuff, but they're not a strategy to win bets. So you can mix it in, you can do all kinds of different things, but as you go with what you're doing in trying to develop and become a better, I guess is the better, I don't know, wager maker, whatever. You got to learn what gets you there, and what gets you there is how does Team A match up to Team B, and what does the strength of Team A be versus the strength of Team B? How long are they going to have the ball? What are they going to do with it when they have the ball? All that stuff. And I always hear a lot of people talk about, well, that's baked into the line and this and that and all that stuff. I get it, but you really know what a line is, and how this really works. And why it's so convenient for people to say stuff. It's power ratings. Same power ratings that a handicapper has is they might be a little different. Like Kenny White's a little different than what the actual sports books power ratings are. But they're power ratings. They're made off a number. And then they take that and they want to make money. So they might adjust the line a certain way or a certain thing based on how they want money to come in. And then what happens is, people in our lanes go, well, this guy's not, well, it's baked into the line. Well, this matchup, it's baked into the line. So they're going to go and say, well, you need to bet on stuff that's not baked into the line. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's not baked into the line, because you can say that's into the line. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. And Jeff and I will probably argue over some of this, but I don't follow the market like Jeff does. I don't bet on, and I bet against it more often than I bet on it. I certainly don't follow the steam that often, every once in a while, maybe. And that was, again, like last night. I know a lot of people were on San Francisco early, but everything you saw in our lanes on Twitter and everywhere else was, oh, Carolina. So the market tells you, and think about what the market is. The market is a bunch of people that are betting into this market. And because the money coming and going and doing different things, it changes the lines, this, that, and the other, right? So now you're trying to figure out, who are these bettors? Your opponent is not the sports book. Your opponent is all these other bettors. So you're trying to beat all these other bettors. So be smarter than what they're doing. Figure out that it's just common sense in a lot of cases, and it's logic in a lot of cases that will get you to the window.
Again, I've been trying to say this for years, and it's just gotten to a point where social media has just taken it to the nth degree that again, I've been working around the clock and will be till December 31st, and hoping to relaunch, rebrand what I want to do starting in 2026. A vision that I had in 13, 14, and we launched in 15. Something we're going to take to the nth degree with the shifting of our lanes, meaning ProfitX, meaning the poly market, meaning Kalshi, seeing all the regulations by the states, seeing states with 11 possible apps for these sports books, and seeing the same 3 or 4, meaning DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Caesars, and then you got the underdogs and prize picks. And as Scotty started early in the show about the props, what has happened is these so-called experts can't pick a winner pre-flop on a side or a total. So what they did for a little while is, yeah, I lost our pre-flop bet, but boy, I killed it in the end game. So instead of showing that they went 2-8 pre-flop, they're showing they went 7-1 in game, and they're showing profit. That is now left the building. So now it's props, it's in games, it's parlays, anything that you can quote unquote wink, 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 show a profit. And I'm not killing people that are winning in the prop market. I get it. God bless you. And then your guy gets injured, and now you're praying that they void it, and it's free PR for these sports books. I'm done with that. I'm done. Go have fun following these clowns, and that's what they are. They're clowns, bozos. Okay, and the bottom line, very simply, is 99.9% of the people in the world now have just finally come to the realization it's just entertainment. They're not serious about betting and investing and making money. At the end of the week, if they lose $150, because the average bet is $25, people. End of discussion. There's guys out there that are betting 2,500. There's an occasional 10,000. You'll see 100,000. Okay, yada yada. My point is $25, $35, $50. Now, the quote unquote guys that do this for a living, 200, 300, maybe 400, maybe 500, if your bankroll suggests that. But what's going on in today's lanes is past comical, but it's accepted now. I'm not accepting it anymore. I am so tired of the want. You can flip on 38,000 different shows out there. Big stage, big platform, 4-letter words, ESPN, 3-letter words, Fox, VSiN, yada, yada, yada. And I'm not disrespecting some of the people on these shows. Actually, they're my colleagues. I've been on every one of those shows. I'm kind of laughing at some of the people that they're bringing on to quote unquote fill time. And that's what I'm saying. And then, of course, all the other clowns and bozos that are on social media giving you bets and asking you to spend a few minutes with them because they're experts. Well, they're not. So, again, there's my mini rant for today. 78 college basketball games on the docket today. One hockey game. That's why we moved Andrew to Wednesday. There'll be a full slate of hockey there. So, again, we want to thank everyone here, PB, Emil, Danny, Mr. Lucky, Dr. Lance. The list is ended. It's, of course, WagerWire for all you do. So, everyone, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 9:15. Full slate of shows. Me and Scotty, Andrew McGinnis, Matt Grissom, Ron Marmolewski. We'll be cooking with Crisco tomorrow. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Hopefully we'll have some breaking baseball news tomorrow.
Hey, there was a trade.
What's that?
Nemo got traded. You saw that, right?
Yeah, and I saw a tweet. I'll ask you this question. Due to the mayor that was elected in New York, Nemo asked that was fake. Okay. I didn't say anything. I didn't. Nemo said he asked for a trade, and they granted him a trade.
So what I understand, what's the guy's name that used to be the GM for the Steve? What's his name? Steve, whatever. Steve Phillips. So Steve Phillips was on the air, and he was talking about this trade, and he was talking about inside information about the Mets. And obviously, I think he would have the connections to have the inside information about the Mets. And Nemo's been with the Mets as long as anybody there, and been part of that in terms of how meaningful he is to that team in terms of internally. He might not be the greatest player on the team. Obviously, Soto's there now, and Lindor and stuff, and Alonso and all those guys. But Nemo felt that Lindor should not be the captain of that baseball team. And Lindor wasn't as meaningful as maybe he himself would be as a captain, because the grittiness that he has, and the caring of New York that he has, and he would put all that stuff up there and hold people accountable, and Lindor maybe not. So evidently that created some kind of a problem in the clubhouse, where you had an issue there, and then he just went and said, "Hey, look, if it makes it better, I'll waive my no trade clause, and I'll go to wherever you need me to go." So they made this deal happen, and in hindsight, you sit there and go, "Well, Nemo, at some points in times is really good, and he's an all-star kind of player. Other times he's just a gritty kind of guy. And they're bringing in the second baseman from Texas, whatever his name is off the time, Marcus Semien, right? Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien's 35, and Nemo's 32, so they're not too off in terms of age. But Semien's, I think, going this way at the tail end of his career. His numbers haven't been as good as of late. He's not the MVP kind of quality caliber guy he used to be. And if you look at his numbers from last year, they were really bad. At one point in time, he was batting 7th or 8th in that lineup. That they moved him out. He couldn't protect Seager. They moved him away. He wasn't helping anything. Same thing with Adolis Garcia, right? So anyway, it was a problem. So they get rid of that bat. They bring in Nemo. That help, in my opinion, that's going to help the Rangers in terms of maybe some of the stuff that maybe they need, grittiness and attitude a little. But at the same time, I don't know how much it's really going to help the Mets, because I think their Mets with like Lindor, I think is correct when he talks about he's not a gritty guy. He's a flamboyant, hey, I don't get off to the good start kind of guy. I'm just laid back. I'm what's that center fielder's name for the Mariners, Rodriguez? He's kind of like that. He's kind of like, I don't care. It's nonchalant, whatever. It is what it is. Same with Soto, but Soto just plays better than all the rest of them. So I think Semien falling into that. Okay, well, you're going to have a whole bunch of guys that just really sit there and go, whatever, it just is what it is. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Not that we're going to go out and try to lose, but they don't have that fire and compassion and stuff. And from what I see, from what I've heard anyway, I don't think they're going to sign Alonso. So, maybe they think Semien can provide some bat that maybe will help with Alonso being gone. I don't know. See what happens. But I thought that was a pretty big move. I mean, those are big names. And, Adolis Garcia, they didn't sign him. So Adolis Garcia is now a free agent. And Jonah Heim's a free agent for Texas. So Texas Rangers are going to look different. Now, keep in mind, they're going to get their pitchers back. Their pitchers are going to be healthy this year. So we'll see what that looks like and how they're going to be built, and see if they're more competitive. They have a new manager, they'll see how all that plays out and what happens. And it's like, they're going to be an interesting team. And I don't hate to keep talking baseball, but the Pirates I saw are trying to get in on players. And there was another team that was normally a non-spending team that was getting in on players too. I forget who they are off the top of my head, but it wasn't the Rays. It was somebody lower than the Rays, but it was somebody that's trying to at least test the market and see what they can do. And look, the trouble with baseball is not the Dodgers. The trouble with baseball is teams like the Pirates, the teams like the Reds, and the teams that don't spend the money, that are on the bottom of the heap, and they don't match to what everybody else is doing. You got to have. I think baseball would do much better if they had a floor, not a ceiling. You have to spend this much money, and the reason they don't want to do that is because if you tell them how much they have to spend, how many teams are going to spend what they have to spend and nothing else. So I think that you got to put some kind of pressure, some kind of system in place that says, hey, you bottom feeders that don't spend any money, you're going to get these kind of penalties if you don't start spending money, that kind of thing. And you're going to see the quality of baseball go up, not go down. And we'll see. We'll see what the youth movement is still going in baseball. See how that kind of works out. See what these Japanese players. There's quite a few Japanese players coming over this year, so we'll see what that might look like. Because there are more hitters this year, I think, than there are pitchers, and see how that kind of plays out. So I'm excited. Look, anytime something happens in baseball, I'm like falling out of my chair going, Jesus, this is great. And then I'm like, well, shit, I still can't do anything for baseball because I need a whole bunch more stuff to start falling in dominant. I think when's winter meetings? 10 days from now? Isn't it like 10 days? I'm like, holy crap, that's when stuff's going to start. And we'll see how that plays out. And the only other thing I'll say about baseball, I know you got the John Heymans and the Buster Olneys,
Assens.
all those guys out there. The only guy that I'll tell you, if you follow Jeff Passan, he doesn't like break the news very often. He usually is right, and he's usually giving credit to somebody else, but he'll have all of it. And if you really want to know what's going on, Jeff Passan will tell you what happened after it's already happened. But he'll tell you what's happened. But be very careful what you listen to from all these guys that make up shit about what they think they know and what's going on and what the GMs. Look, those guys are just as bad as the reporters that you don't like to follow for political reasons. They're just that bad. So be very careful what you listen to and how you listen to these baseball guys and what they tell you and all that stuff, because let things play their course, let things happen. I will say the baseball guys have been a lot better about not being wrong, except Bob Nightingale. He's really wrong about a lot of stuff. But yeah, I think as it kind of goes out, it'll be fun. I am always excited to what I'm more excited to hear about is what GMs have to say. I really want to, I like to hear what they talk about, because they're building the team A, they're building the organization B, and nowadays, they build the lineups and everything else. They just got to get the manager to keep the team, like more focused and, not killing each other.
GM Steve Phillips, big part. I'm a big fan of Jim Bowden. He's on Sirius Radio. I enjoy listening to him. I like the former GMs, their perspective. They've done it. They've had hands on, and of course they have Rolodexes a mile long where they can just hear or see something and make a quick phone call and get right to the pulse. So again, a lot of stuff brewing here. It's been a great show as always, guys. Enjoy yourselves, behave, stay in your lanes. We'll be back in 24 hours, 23 hours. Stay tuned.